Hey guys, it's Veronica, and this is my presentation for Module 6, the expectation of individuals and institutions in medieval times versus the expectation of the 21st century. The medieval times mainly lasted from 1066 to 1485, which was around the 15th century. Next, we have the expectations and institutions for individuals in medieval times, which had three subtexts, which were religion, lifestyle, and education. Religion is quite common and popular. We have kings and emperors who brought in their ideas in the medieval times and shared what they were brought up in, and they were not the only rulers who used their power in the 11th and 12th century, as well as the papacy, which was like a church in a way, did. Because during this time, a specific religion like that of the papacy, like that of Christianity, was very popular during that time and had a monumental effect in how society worked during that time period. And it also set guidelines and expectations, like I said, for how these hierarchy of different people in society were supposed to act. For example, the wealthy families from the city of Rome often chose popes from among their members. It is quite common for this to happen, which is kind of biased, but it was expected from these wealthy families to partake in the papacy. Secondly, we have lifestyle, which kinds of develops on religion. For lifestyle, we're going to talk about how there are different types of people in society, one of higher hierarchy and of lower hierarchy. And the people of lower hierarchy, which is described over here, is someone born of a serf. Someone born of a serf is not exactly the most freest person there, but they did have jobs that were not as sustainable, but were given an income into their families. Secondly, we also had the majority of the people who worked as laborers in medieval times in like Italy or in certain countries in Europe. As for education, which is the last one, we are going to talk about how that was a huge achievement for people in these European countries in medieval times. Education was the foundation of knowledge and skill and also respect in certain societies. So when the the 15th century hit, there was this wave of the how do you describe this? It's the transfer and communication of different ideas and subsets around the whole continent. So education and knowledge was a huge part of it, because we had these ideas from Europe travel along to other countries and continents, as well as medical information that would later become useful in what we have today. Next, we have the 21st century. The 21st century is today, I would say it is between the 1900s to the 2022, which is what the year is today. The expectations of the 21st century institutions is very similar. I mean, it's very different from the medieval times. One, because it was the medieval times, they didn't have a very structured program. Plumbing wasn't really a thing at the time, and a lot of things had happened during that time. However, for the 21st century, we have advanced, evolved, have an acquired taste, of course, especially in how society works. Though there are different power dynamics and there are social hierarchies based on economical needs and your income, which is quite obvious, that doesn't exactly have such a huge barrier in economical growth as it would have in the medieval times, because the poor people did have much an advantage, and neither do they have now. However, they are less likely to be alive in a day in the past than they would be today. So I think that kind of puts them together in the same context. They have like similar, the medieval times and the current times have similar systemic structures. However, they are different in the degree that they work. A component of the expectations of the 21st century is cultural diversity and religious diversity. As I talked about in the medieval times, there wasn't much of religious diversity. I mean, there are different religions that came in different countries, but when we were focusing on Europe, Christianity seemed to be the most prominent one that was important at that time. However, now we have different religions in America, and it's very diverse culturally, ethnically, and religiously, where we have both Islam's, Buddhist, Hinduism, Christian, all in one place. Culture is different here. That kind of intertwines with religion sometimes, but not exactly. We also have ethnicity, which is much more diverse here than it would be in the past. There's also the common knowledge of the individualism, which is like the American dream, where people strive to work hard and accomplish what they want to accomplish in the country. And it's also a belief that if you work hard enough, you will accomplish what you want to accomplish. This is an essential part of the American system and institutions, and it has helped with how they grow. Like essentially, it helped with how they grow in such societies. It's I don't necessarily agree with it, because I feel like you need a village to grow a child in that kind of sense, but individualism is very important foundation of the American system. The other one is identity. Identity is, well, kind of similar to individualism, but it focuses on how people need to find themselves first and focus on themselves while embracing the idea of self-identity, self-actualization, self-acknowledgement, self-appreciation. Everything is about you, which was not exactly talked much about in the medieval times, but maybe it was an important time during the Black Plague, since people didn't want to spread the bad air to each other, which was their assumption of how the bacteria had grown. That's the end of the presentation. Have a great day.